I'm David Maldo, and in this lesson, we're going to put together everything we've used so far to create our first virtual presentation. You can consider this your final exam. After this lesson, you will truly be a virtual presenter. Of course, we do have more lessons and videos to help you to continue to up your game. Now, our presentation that we're sharing can be a PowerPoint, a website, a video, anything. For the purpose of this lesson, we're going to be using a PowerPoint as our example. And don't worry if you don't have a green screen yet. We're going to start by showing how it works with a green screen, because that's the ideal effect. But I'll also show you how to make it work without a green screen. Okay, let's go to where we left off. So with this lesson, I'm really assuming you haven't skipped ahead and you've seen all the lessons up until now, and you've been following along. So at this point, your OBS should look something like mine, with a few scenes that we've created over in our scenes panel. We were using these mostly to demonstrate how transition worked. Remember, we click on Office No Camera, my camera goes away. We had one of the fun transitions for the library. But we're not going to really be using these for our presentation. We're going to make some new scenes. Now, we could delete these to keep things clean, but instead, let me use this opportunity to teach you a little trick, a little thing I do to keep things organized. I'm going to create a new scene by clicking the plus button in the scenes panel, and I'm going to call it Office Scenes with a bunch of dashes before and after. And I'm not going to put anything in it. It's completely empty, but I'm going to move it up to the top of my scenes panel. Then I'm going to create another one, and this one I'm going to call Presentation Scenes. And again, I'm not going to put anything in it. I'm not going to actually use this, but you could see how it's starting to give a little structure, how it's going to help me organize my scenes panel. So let's create our first presentation scene. Create a new scene, and let's call it Presentation Main, our main presentation scene. First thing we'll do, let's put our webcam back in. We remember how to do that. We make sure we've clicked the scene that we want to add our source to. We click the plus button into sources to add a source. A webcam is a video capture device. We should already have an existing one from our previous lessons, but if not, we know how to add a new one. Here I am. And then, as we've learned in previous lessons, I'll do my cropping and a little resizing. Okay, I wanted to do that first so I could see you again. It's a little easier to teach this way. So now I just need to get my presentation behind me. And the easiest way to do that in OBS is just to share my right monitor. Remember, I have two monitors. I have OBS on the monitor in front of me, and whatever I'm going to share, in this case my PowerPoint, I have open on my second monitor. So as we've learned in previous lessons, to share my second monitor, I add a source, display capture, and we could name it Right Display, but for now we'll just click OK, and I'll choose my Right Display, and there it is. And remember what we learned about layering. Since this source, since the display capture is in front of me, we're not seeing me, so let's take me and move me up one. There we go. And I want to take a quick video with my phone here so you could see what I'm seeing. Because I want it to be clear that I am not controlling the PowerPoint in OBS. I have it open on my second monitor. So if I want to do something with the PowerPoint, I'm actually controlling it on the right monitor, and whatever I do on the right monitor will show up behind me in OBS, but I'm not controlling it in OBS. So to do the normal PowerPoint thing, I'll click on Start from Beginning. That makes it full size, and now it's full size behind me here in OBS. And just do the normal clicking on the PowerPoint on the right side to move it behind me on the left side. Okay, so now we have our presentation behind us and we know how to control it. We just need to add a couple more scenes for the full effect. So to make it easy, instead of starting from scratch, let's right-click on our presentation main scene and make a duplicate. We'll call this one Presentation Left. And we'll see why in just a second. So now these scenes are identical. If I click between them, nothing changes. But let's go to presentation left, unlock my camera, and make me small and move it to the left. So now if there was a lot of material on the screen, I wouldn't be blocking it. Let's lock that up. And let's create our next scene. I think it's going to be pretty obvious what this is going to be. I'm going to right click on here, make a duplicate. Presentation right. And again, unlock the camera and I'll move it over to the right. So now we're pretty much there. We have our main presentation scene. And if we find ourselves in the way of our material, we could move ourselves over to the left or move ourselves over to the right. We know how to make our custom transitions. If you want a different transition going from one scene to another, we can go back to our presentation main at any time to really get face to face and be in the room and get that full impact. And we can even leave the presentation at any time. Go back to our home scene, for me, my office scene, if we want to have a more casual back and forth conversation. Now remember, I used a PowerPoint in my example, but if instead of a PowerPoint, I had my website open on my right screen, the presentation would have been my website. Same thing with a video or basically anything you can put on your display. Now, those of you who don't have green screens yet aren't going to be getting quite the same effect. So let's take a look at how we'll manage your presentation scenes. Okay, I'm back in my main presentation scene, and let me turn off my green screen. Let's see what my real office looks like here. I've turned off the filter and let me uncrop it. Okay, and you can see behind me I have an actual green curtain. You can see a little bit of the door on the side, some of the stand around the corner, and obviously it is completely blocking the presentation. So for my main presentation view, I would crop it as tightly around me as I could. You've learned how to crop. Hold down your Alt button and grab the red bars until they turn green. See if I can get this one up here. There we go. And maybe make it a little bit smaller. Now, people will see whatever's behind you. Clean up your office. Try to make it look nice. And yes, it will be blocking a lot of what is behind you on the presentation. But this view still will be useful. It'll be nice to pop up just to be a little bit bigger and have a little bit more impact. But you'll want to go to other views to show the presentation better. One other quick trick you can do to frame this a little better is create a color source. Let's go down to Add a Source, create a color source, and I'll just make it black. And a color source is literally just a black box. So I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. Then I put the color source behind my main camera, but before the display capture. And if I sized it a little bit better, it would make a little bit of a frame around me. So now let's go to our presentation left and do the same thing. The first thing I'm going to do is crop it a little tighter. And then create a color source. Actually, I'll just use the same one. And again, it helps if I put it behind me so I can see what I'm doing here. And same thing on the right. I'll crop my camera. Put a color source behind me. Let's try a different color this time, just to see what it looks like. Let's try blue. Put it behind the camera. Make it a little easier to size. And there we go. And again, if you don't have a green screen, it would just be whatever your office is. If you have a nice bookshelf behind you, whatever it is, that's what we would be seeing here. And while you don't have the same effect as magically floating in front of your presentation with the green screen, it's still pretty cool. You could still move from left to right. center, and you can customize it with whatever color border you want. It's still a dramatic presentation. But since I do have the green screen, I really do prefer to get that full effect. Let me turn off that color source. There we go. This is what we're looking for. So congratulations. You're ready for your first virtual presentation. I'm excited for you and can't wait to hear how it went for you. Please reach out and let us know. And if you like the lessons up to now, don't worry, we have a lot more planned. While you know everything you need to know for your first virtual presentation, we barely scratched the surface of what you could do with OBS. I'll see you in the next one.